everyone, it's the Enlightened Enlisted, your best dressed gamer here, and I wanted to talk to you about another game called Enlisted that is in closed beta right now, and how the engineering class is OP. But no one seems to use it, unfortunately, in-game except for me. And if you've seen my stream, which by the way I stream every Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday, link to my Twitch channel in the description below, I use the engineer almost exclusively as my first unit out of the gate. And here's why. The engineer is like a specialty class, such as the sniper or the assaulter, that you can also get within your squads, but it can build fortifications such as sandbags, MG nest, AA guns, AT, or a spawn beacon, which if you're familiar with squad, the spawn beacon is just like your rally point, allowing you to have units to spawn at that location. Now, the engineer using that spawn beacon can put it at a placement somewhere near an objective to keep the pressure up onto the enemy, allowing you to get more troops to that point or objective faster than your enemy. Now, when doing this, you can also build an MG nest near it, and usually I recommend that in order to defend it. The MG nest, as we can see throughout all the games, including the Normandy beach landing, is super effective against infantry, especially when most of the units on the field are using just bolt-action rifles. Now, a good spawn point and MG nest can turn the tide of the game, such as domination. Now, there are some problems with the engineering class, including the building ability. It's a little bit buggy here in the closed beta, and it's kind of hard sometimes to be able to build the structure where you actually want it. I found this to be a big problem when I'm trying to set up an MG into a window, as the MG is a little bit offset from where the sandbag actually is. And then when you get up to that MG, you don't have as much clear field of fire as you would think. There are a couple ways that you can mitigate this. One is by actually looking to the left-hand side and making sure that those sandbags are as close to the wall as humanly possible before building. Now, you can hit J on your PC to take down that MG nest. However, in my experience, you have not been able to get back the building supplies in order to build a new one, and that is a big limitation for the engineering class, is there is no way that I have been able to find in my testing to refill those limited building supplies. And what I mean by that is you can't build absolutely everything. So you can usually only build about a spawn point, some sandbags, an MG nest, and then a tank trap. Or you can sometimes build like an AT gun and an AA gun. Both of those that I just previously mentioned are actually not as useful in the game as one could think, except for anti-infantry and then taking down other fortifications. So what I would like to see is an ability for you to be able to refill those supplies, kind of like in Squad, the Logi. However, I can see where this would be a problem in order to make engineers even more OP. So the developers are going to have to do some kind of tweaking if they go that route. Now, the engineering class being so OP right now in the meta of the game, there are a few ways that you can counter it, and a couple suggestions I would have for the developers. The first one being, when you come across any kind of engineering emplacement, you can actually shoot off the guns for the MG nest, rendering them inoperable. I highly suggest that you do this at any time you can. Or you can throw a grenade and blow up the sandbags, thus making the fortifications worthless. If you find an enemy spawn beacon, if you run up to it and you hold J down, it will actually take that spawn beacon down. Now, no one will be able to spawn on this spawn beacon if an enemy is near it, so keep that in mind while you're placing one, or if you're an enemy trying to render one inoperable. The Ruins of Vax map is a great example of this. As you can see here in this footage, I'm putting a spawn beacon in an MG nest in between the A and the B point. This is allowing us to essentially cut off the map where we control both of those points. C being kind of somewhere we can flank, kind of skirmish around with, but we would always be able to hold A and B for the most part. Now, if you get multiple engineers, as I would suggest, working within the squad, you can build up multiple MG nest and defenses, such as like barbed wire or other sandbags in the windows. One of the best places for the engineer on a defensive side is the Normandy landing. Of course, you're playing as the Germans, there are a couple points that I would suggest in order to put some of your defenses down right off the bat in order to keep that first point from even being taken. The first place you want to run to is here and put a tank trap. And the reason for that is it'll prevent any kind of enemy tank being able to come up this left-hand road. Now, for whatever reason, let's say that you lose that first point, this tank trap is going to prevent anyone from pushing in further, and thus allowing this MG over here to the right in order to cover that entrance, and the infantry is going to have a hard time taking it. They're actually going to have to flank around. Then what I would suggest is that you put the spawn point beacon here. It's a nice little spot that is protected in this back bunker. I put it right there because I'm also going to go up into this front part and put an MG nest. This MG nest spot is probably one of the best spots in the game that I would suggest to build one, because it's far enough back that it's kind of dark that you can't see it from the beach. Then it has a great field of fire covering your whole right hand side. Now you will have to get off of it and go and try to help that left side, and when you're doing so you have to be very careful for enemy snipers because they will take you out. However, in doing this multiple times, I have not found where an enemy sniper has actually shot me off that MG. If you use the engineering class like I've shown you in this video, you can achieve a lot of great results. As you can see here with some of my kill to death ratios, it is insanely high. I've really enjoyed playing the engineer class because it does offer you a lot of versatility in the game. Now, a lot of people will look at some of this footage and say, well, you're camping. And that is true. I am kind of camping in a lot of this footage. But that's because we're on the defense in most of it, and I want to win the game. I'm still playing the objective and covering those sides, but I'm also holding a strategic area on the map. And that's kind of how most games are going to be played here on Enlisted, in my opinion. Now, if you use these tactics correctly, you will devastate the enemy, and it'll be a great, great time for you and your friends. It will be a pain for your enemies. So, while looking at this video, think of some ways that you can counter these. And now go over those again. I'm going to go with air, tank, and then snipers are the best way to counter an enemy engineering class. So, if you like what you've seen, go ahead, like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the Twitch chat. As always, stay enlightened, guys.